All right, Gary, talk to me now. Is this better?
This is his mother. He stepped out for a minute.
How are you doing? Is everything okay?
Yeah, I just wanted to sit in the car and listen, but now I find out I can't hear anything because you guys are really funny. I don't need to be an arm wrestler to appreciate it.
Well, I really appreciate you saying that. I actually watched one of the shows a couple of weeks ago, and I started laughing as well. So
yeah,
awesome.
the stories are hysterical. Okay, he's back. Bye.
It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, it was nice talking to you.
Yes,
Okay, before we start, I want you to know I'm on the road officially. So I have a temporary sign, co-productions between RMTV and Travis Bagent, Unfiltered.
Love it. Love it. I always love it when we purchase new signs. I love it.
So my mom's a special guest here. She was telling me she doesn't know anything about arm wrestling, but she's enjoying the stories.
That's what I just told her.
That's funny.
Yeah, that does. I mean, do you want me to act surprised because it's your mom, or have I been telling you this forever?
Well, I said in the last episode, I said you have a way with the ladies, especially the older ladies. They like themselves some Travis Bagent.
I mean, I'm not one to toot my own horn. You know that about me.
Yeah.
However,
Thanks, Gary.
if you are a young athlete under the age of 10, Travis Bagent is the coolest coach dude you ever ran across. At age 11, it starts wearing off until about the age of 51. And I'm sure your mom's what? Your mom's 52, 53, where's she at?
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there.
Ever since that she hit 52, the humor, the intelligence, I don't know if it's the intelligence, but something about the way that I sound attracts ladies over 51.
Yeah. And I mean, I've been told I do okay in that department too. So you're not the only beast.
I will tell you that is the first I have ever heard of that, Gary, is that you do well in that category. I didn't know that. But hey.
The older ladies tend to like me. I'm just saying, like, from the time I've been young, like, as the age goes up, it's always been like, ooh, I like you. Yeah. So I don't know why.
Remember all your friends' mothers.
Yeah, like when I was a kid,
my wife says it's sympathy. That the older ladies are sympathetic to the cause of the young, funny guy.
Yeah. So let's get to the point here, dude. So far the feedback. Am I too loud? Am I okay?
No, I love it. Sound good.
Okay. So, I mean, the feedback, it seems mostly positive. People like the duo of Travis and Gary. They say we work together pretty well. So that's a good thing. Are you getting similar vibes?
I mean, listen, I am glad. I know that the world loves you, right? So this does not surprise me that the world is back in love with you. You're back in our lives. And I knew you were going to reach a lot of people because you're a special guy. So I'm happy that that we're here and that you keep on calling me. We keep on doing the shows because there was no doubt in my mind that if I could just get linked up with you, that it was going to be a success.
But not just like someone said, hey, you two work too well together. They said it's the combo, not just me or Travis.
Well, listen, hey, I got you. I needed you. Yeah. It was perfect timing. So I'm super excited. And everywhere I go, well, I shouldn't say everywhere I go, but this particular weekend, I just got back. I went to Los Angeles. I went to Sacramento, and then I ended up in Petaluma. I did a couple seminars, arm wrestled a couple people, and you and me were the talk of the conversation. Everyone wanted to ask some questions. that they had about the show. So the fact is that it's picking up, baby. It's picking up.
Syndication time. I love it.
Can you confirm that we have been syndicated by CBS?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, so 1,000 channels are airing us everywhere now.
All right.
I mean, dude, like I told you, it's funny. I feel like everything's coming together for a reason, because the last episode we talked about, we had at least our mom upvotes, and here my mom is, I didn't know my mom was even watching. She's like, ooh, I like that Travis. He's,
He got that.
Yeah,
he got that.
You did it. She said we're
young
cute
lady, it happens to me everywhere I go. Don't worry about
what?
it.
You're like click and clack the car guys.
Click and clack the car guys.
Click,
I don't know
yeah.
what the
Which one's the cool one? Click or clack?
click or clack. I literally have no idea what this is. Anyways, the point is, we just talked. Oh, we lost you. We just talked about how we had some family upvotes, and I found out my mom was listening to the show. She said, "Is your brother watching?" I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know who's watching or who's not watching. But the funny thing is, I was in Oregon, and I don't want to put down the system that is Travis Bagent 1 new arm wrestlers email you, but I downloaded the arm bet and I put on the thing, and what a small world we live in, that the dude who was at your seminar is the guy I matched up with to arm wrestle in Oregon. I mean,
absolutely amazing that that reference. Hey, what a nice dude. What a cool dude that guy is. Yeah.
And the thing is, here's the thing. I was so disappointed that we didn't have a table. And so we met in this Fred Meyer parking lot. And, I was like bummed. I was excited to meet him, but then he's like, my wife took the table, so we're kind of fucked. And I was like, oh shit, dude, the show's over. Show's over. Then he's like, he's like, there's got to be something we can arm wrestle on. And I swear to you, the trash can, it was like very table-ish.
It was good for you and your height, bad for his and his height.
Yeah. But I want to give a big thank you to Sean, because I love arm wrestling. And coming back, going through all these videos, it's like you get the feeling of how you loved arm wrestling, but nothing reminds you of just how much you love arm wrestling until you feel. So here's the thing. I'm never going to be a national champion. I'm never going to be anything big. What I've always loved about arm wrestling is when I'm in a match and I feel it. I feel like, oh, we're connecting. It's like, this is a special feeling that you get when you're like in a match. And I want to thank Sean for giving me that feeling. It's like, oh, wow, this is what, it's like the difference of talking about sex and having sex. Like, anyways, in arm wrestling, I don't want to make that connection. But it is kind of like that, like being back in the sport, talking about it. And man, it's not the same as actually doing it. So it's funny that I arm wrestled him, and a couple days later, he's driving down and hanging out with you. What?
Yeah, what a good dude. What a good dude. And I just want to make sure that we both know that I do not share any of those beliefs about the being in the match, it being like sex or anything. I don't know what you're talking about. Can you go find the Gary that was in Chicago? That guy there was perfect.
Because you take for granted. You take arm wrestling for granted because you're so good at it.
I was going to tell you, I feel the exact opposite. When I get in there and I really feel them, I hate that feeling. So, yeah, I'd rather have the pow feeling. That's the feeling I like.
Because you take that feeling for granted, because that happens all the time.
I love it.
Anyways, it's funny to make this connection, because I put up chapter 11, and it was like I was calling bitches out, and I was like, I felt bad because so you're saying if Sean had a more equal table that he would have done
Well, no. All I noticed is the trash can to the left. So to the average guy, it looks like, hey, no big deal, whether you arm wrestle on a trash can, whether you arm wrestle on the table. But seeing how I am a weirdo psycho about everything arm wrestling, I noticed that the trash can was probably 3 inches higher than the 40 inches, which made it about 43 inches. And that if you were over 6'1", you may actually have your elbow even with your rib cage and or belly button. However, if you are, vertically challenged, as my boy Sean is, it's like his right tit is right up to the top of the trash can.
So we should have given him
it would just have a slight leverage problem. However, I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Gary Roberts is not bad at arm wrestling. I mean, it's not bad. He likes to look. I've seen you rape him. I saw you wear his hand out. I saw you back off of his hand so that it wouldn't appear that you had already raped him and taken all the juice out of his hand. I saw it all.
Here's the thing. Again, you don't want to toot your own horn, but I got to toot my own horn. I started arm wrestling with such a slow pace. I don't think anyone in the world has ever snailed into arm wrestling like I did, because I was always the videographer. I was never going to actually arm wrestle. I was looking at 2004 Canadian Nationals. Tamara Mitz was just raping my hand. And I was like, I started arm wrestling so slow and I was always so weak. So the only way for me to win eventually, like 3 or 4 years later, was to have to learn some of the tricks to overcompensate.
Calculated manipulation.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So I put up that episode and I started calling out bitches, and people were like, "Oh, well, who's this guy? I'll crush." I'm like, "Hey, I'm not strong, but let me tell you, if you come in with a lack of technique, I do know how to capitalize on that. I do. That's a fact. I got up with Sean. I was like, oh wait, I still remember how to do this. I still know what's up. I'm back. Anyways, I was very excited. And thank you, Sean, for giving me that feeling. It was like, oh yes, I remember the love I had, but I get it. Just doing that.
I would like now, will you be back in Portland at any time? When is Portland home base for Gary for a while? What do we got?
No, now I'm in California. I'm 2 hours away from Petaluma, where you were at.
2 hours away from Petaluma, which is good because you're also, Sean can make that trip pretty easy. So the fact is that Sean, I think maybe there's a new Sean. Because I don't want to toot my horn, but Sean did take part into the Travis Bagent seminar last weekend. Yeah. So I would like us to set a date right now, 3 months from now, and let's get you on an official table, and let's see if Sean learned anything, and actually see if the height of that trash can actually destroyed my man and any chance of him having any control of your hand.
Brings up a good point. So for people that don't know, back in the day, this is what I was doing. I was filming arm wrestling events, but I was also calling out people. I was like, hey, if you're a teenager, if you can beat me. So I was like a little clown sideshow. At the beginning of tournaments, I would arm wrestle people. And it was like this fun little side gig I had. In fact, I found a video, Gabriela Vasconcelos, like she's a WAF world champion.
I kind of know exactly who she is. Thank you for wondering if I did. No problem.
I destroyed her in a match. Anyways,
of course.
For people who are surprised that I would now be venturing into the world where I'm challenging people, it's just a natural progression. That's what I loved doing before. And the reason I brought it up is because if I beat somebody, the first thing I did was I said, listen, man, I shouldn't have beat you. Here's what you should have done with me. And I tell them, and I meet them a month later, and they usually always get me because
Well, let me give you some insight on what you just said. Okay?
Yeah.
What you just said was that even though you don't consider yourself that great of an arm wrestler, you're not bad. And to quote you, you are willing to call out bitches, right?
Yeah.
So what you're telling me is the level of douchebag that you are capable of is not only that you will call out bitches, you will rape them and beat them, but then after that, you're that guy who turns into their personal coach. Well, let me tell you something. That's the worst guy in the history of the world. Let me tell you who doesn't want to be coached by you. The guy you just called a bitch and beat him in the thing. Listen, let's just put this out here.
Hold on. Let me interrupt.
Oh my God.
My calling out bitches today is separate. Back in the day, it was arm wrestling friends. There's two different threads going. Me arm wrestling Sean, that was a friend. We'll be homies. That was separate than me calling out the trash talking bitches.
Okay.
I don't know if I'll coach the bitches. I'm just making
if you want to make the bitches hate you even more, or if any arm wrestler in the world wants to be hated by another arm wrestler, this is the perfect recipe. Have a competition with them that is on an equal basis, win that competition, and then become that dude's coach. That guy will hate you for the rest of your life, regardless if you ever save his life 3 times after that. He will never remember the day that you felt superior over him and decided to become his mentor. Come January, I was got to start a new gig with Cooper Tires as well.
Okay. Episode end. We can't.
Next episode, we will recount the 2016 WAL championships, and then it will lead us into exactly why I am no longer with the World Arm Wrestling League.
Oh my God! All right, what'd you say about my sign?
I said it's hard to believe to me that you're telling me that's not a brand new sign.
Dude, so I'm in my mother-in-law and father-in-law's basement during this COVID thing, living rent-free, trying to save up some money, letting the grandparents have some kid time. Somebody asked, Gary, why are you in the car? Are you homeless? I'm in the car because during these long filming sessions, my kid has to like go to sleep and stuff. And so I can't do it in our little basement apartment. So I have to come out here. And I watched you guys, like you were on Neil Pickups. So you had the big band. Everyone's got the banner. And I'm like, well, I've got to put.
Well, I mean, if you're going to buy new signs every other day, the whole budget, you can afford an office.
Yeah. Okay, so you left off 2016 WAL Championships is the first time you were not in charge. Something about watches and RVJ.
Yes, great story. All right, so week before the finals, I find out that the Rockwell guys that we're starting the new series the next year, right? We're going to start our tournaments in July, or actually August 1st, we're going to start our tournaments. This is the first week in June. We're getting everything together. I've accepted a deal with Rockwell, right? Super pumped. I get to the Nationals with about 10 of these $3,500 watches, right? That they brought with some apparel and stuff. And they're telling me, Trav, any of your boys need to be outfitted and they're going to be good, let me know. I'll hook them up, right? So I walk up I walk up in the preliminaries. I got my big fat watch on. Beast, right?
And these are good watches.
Oh, man. Yep. Rockwell's the shit, man. Rockwell.com. Go check out all their stuff. I mean, it's amazing. Okay. Awesome. So I've got this big bad thing. My first couple rounds I'm winning. And I'm watching how the tournament is flowing through, and I got an idea in my head, and it's that I'll wait till we get to the Final Four, and if I'll find one guy in each of the classes, and I'll give them a watch and tell them the only thing they have to do is wear it.
A loaner or like give
Nah,
it?
you can have it. You can have this
Okay.
watch, right? So, but I'm also greedy, right? So this was the first idea that I had with the 10 watches, 3,500 a piece, right?
Wait a minute, greedy. Travis is trying to get something out of this?
This is what I've done. I got another story for you too that is absolutely amazing. We got to rewind about what I did with Victory Motorcycles. Amazing story. All right, so I've got these watches. Now I'm thinking about giving these 10 away to the 5 weight classes, you know. So I'm checking it out. And finally I walk up to Rob Vigent Jr. and I'm like, Rob, listen, you see this watch? He's like, yeah, it's fat. I said, I tell you what, if you get to the finals, I'm going to, you know, I'm going to give you one of these watches. You just got to wear it. He's like, fucking right. I'm like, all right, man.
Yeah.
So it ends up being him and Todd Hutchings in the finals, right? So we get to the Final Four, and Steve Kaplan comes to me and says, hey, man, what's up with that watch you got on? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I heard you got to deal with this Rockwell company. You're wearing a sweatshirt. Now you got the watch on. I'm like, everybody in here's got a watch. Craig Tuyer's got a Timex big fat thing. Why are you going to tell me what I can and can't wear? You can't wear the watch. I said, man, what, you crazy? I'm wearing the watch. You can't wear the watch. I'm like, man.
No, Kaplan, Steve, my man.
So I take the watch off, and we do the finals. Well, when we get to the finals of that class, Rob Vigent walks out, hands up, right? Looks at Todd Hutchings, and what's Todd Hutchings have on?
A watch.
He has on his watch from where he got from Dallas.
No.
The blingingest, fattest watch in the world, right?
Oh,
now,
shit.
Rob Vigent has not been told why he didn't get a watch. I did not tell Rob that Kaplan stopped me from giving anybody one, right? But to Rob, it looks like I have given the magic watch to his counterpart, which is Todd Hutchings. Right? So, needless to say, they arm wrestle. Todd Hutchings wins. As they're walking back to the crowd, I kind of leaned over and I'm like, keep your head up, kid, you right there. He says, oh, yeah? Well, fuck you. Right? And I'm like, whoa. And I could see it in his face, man. He was like, rah, rah, right? Just yelling. His girlfriend's and his sister's like looking up at him like he's crazy. And then, of course, I flip out and I'm like,
RVJ.
Of course, I'm like, you little punk ass, I'm yelling back, right?
Is this on camera?
No, maybe somewhere. Okay. I don't know. So later on that night, I walk down the stairs and I'm like, yo, man, what's wrong with you? He's like, what do you mean? Why'd you give so-and-so the watch? And I'm like, dude, I didn't give him the watch. The watch was given to him 4 months ago, and it just so happened he had it on because it's a fat-ass watch. And he's probably trying to say thank you to the Rockwell guys from the Dallas Supercross. And the reason I couldn't give you the watch I was going to give you is because Kaplan says he can't wear the watches.
Oh,
right?
man.
Crazy. Yeah. And then right when I'm telling that story, Craig Tuye walks up to both of us and says, yeah, man, he tried to get me to take my watch off. And I'm like, man, what's wrong with you? He's like, did Travis give you that watch? Craig Tuye, he's like, nah, my wife gave me this watch.
Wait, why? How did Steve Kaplan know about the watches?
Well, I think that by that time, now remember in January, this is June. In January, I was notified that that I would no longer be employed and that I have this 3 months, 4 months of Supercross events before it's over. So I'm imagining that I am promoting, I'm calling different directors, because I've got at this time 60 or 70 guys underneath me with the WAL. So I'm calling them to let them know, hey, I'm just going to do this thing with Rockwell. I got these watches. If you want to run a tournament, let me know. So at some point, it just got back to the boss.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, he saw the big watch in the preliminaries when I was arm wrestling, and that's when he came down. But it was so the good thing is I got to keep the watches and just give them to my friends and family, and you know, I got to spread them out, so it was awesome. But super funny story, because I'm sure Rob Vigent really thought that his boy went behind his back and gave the watch to the guy, which I like Todd Hutchings too, don't get me wrong, but I'm always rooting for the underdog. So if Todd Hutchings is pulling Gary Roberts, I'm rooting for Gary Roberts.
Yeah.
If Gary Roberts is pulling, you know, Bubs, I'm pulling for Bubs, right? Like,
Bubs.
Oh, whoever the underdog is.
I love that you say Bubs. That's so
Yeah, that's it. That's my nickname from my little brother, calls me Bubs.
Really?
Yeah, Josh.
No way.
Yeah, he calls me Bubs every day, his whole life to this day.
My wife is a little sour because she thinks I'm never going to call him by his name, Odin. She thinks I'm never going to use it.
I don't think you will. Yeah, I do not think you ever will.
I'm like, but he's Bubs. I mean, I love Odin, but he's Bubs. My Bubs.
Yeah, I don't get you. I don't got you saying Owen too much. I think it's straight up Bubs.
Yeah,
that's it.
Anyway, so you talked about how this WAL championships would lead to you not arm wrestling for WAL. What's next?
So I'm sorry. So then that tournament is over, right? And the next day, I think that pretty much.
How much did you win?
Well, it was $10,000 left and right-handed, and I won both hands, which I think was unexpected, because the last 2 years prior, I had lost to Dave Chafee in the finals. But you could clearly see that it was getting really close, and then by the time I got there in 2016, I mean, I'm way stronger than everybody. Like, I'm pretty sure that version of me, probably the strongest guy to ever arm wrestle, ever, any day ever. So I'm just raping and pillaging everyone. Well, all of a sudden, the next day, I'm not quite the same commodity that I was the day before. Now, for the first time in the WAL, we got a two-time hammer holder, right and left, right? And he's the super heavyweight guy. And I'm so unbeatable left-handed, it's not even close. So now I done conquered this thing right-handed. Steve's like, hey, you know, I was thinking maybe we could do something else for this upcoming season.
Wait, why, if you're the winner, does it make you less commoditable?
No. Before I won, I was just the left-hand champion, and I had Dave Chafee was just as cool as me. Devin was just as cool as me. John Berzink, Storm Chelino, all the guys that could just win one hammer, one hand.
Okay, so now you're saying that you have both.
I come in there, and now not only do I got both, but I'm beating Dave Chafee like, you know.
Okay.
You know, I'm pulling freaking Derek Smith. I can't feel the guy. You know what I'm saying?
Your stock goes up.
Oh, it's right like, ooh, that guy is the face of us. We better see what he's up to, because after he leaves here today, he really ain't required for us to see him again until they have another tournament or some shit, right?
So hold on.
For the 3 years prior to that, 2 years prior to that, I would talk to them every day about.
And could anyone just go to that tournament?
I think you had to participate a little bit during the year.
But you didn't have to be under contract.
No contract. Nope. But if you won it, you was going to go under contract if you got in the top 4, 8, or whatever. As you filled out the registration form, you were notified that they're filming in the top 8 and the bottom top 4, and you will be required to sign over your likeness if you get in the top whatever. So,
dude, it's so interesting you just brought that up, because I was just thinking to myself, do you have to give away your likeness? Like, do you have to sign away your right to be like?
Yes.
I want to ask you more about that later. Okay, go on.
So all of a sudden, not only do I win, but I win in electric fashion. It is clear that I am the strongest man in the world in 2016 in June when I left there. So immediately Kaplan's back on me. Hey, what are you going to do? I'm like, hey, man, I love you. Thank you. I am ready to arm wrestle whenever you have $10,000, $20,000 on the line. You let me know. In the meantime, I'm going to go run a tournament every single weekend, just like I did last year for you, the year before for you, and the 2 years prior to that for myself before you came into my life. So thank you for everything. Rockwell is the sponsor. He says, oh, well, you can't do that. I say, my man.
Wait, what?
My man.
Oh, wait, hold on.
I can't do that.
Okay, good.
Because I'm still under contract with him, even though he doesn't have to pay me. I'm like, well, listen, you don't pay me, I'm not under contract.
Oh, okay. So you were employed with them as a job, but you were also under contract as an arm wrestler.
Yes. And in that contract under an arm wrestler, it states that this contract can be maxes out at $250,000.
And when did you sign that initial contract?
2015. No.
Did you have like a lawyer?
2014.
And did you read it? Did you read it?
Hell no. I didn't care. As long as I was employed, I didn't even care.
Yeah.
Right. And who would have ever thought they were going to make $250,000 arm wrestling? But he put the job money in as arm wrestling. So come 2 years later, plus the Supercross events and the $40,000 in prize money, all equaled 200. He said, actually, you already went up to $294,000. So we got you for 4 more years, and we'll let you know when we need you. And I'm like, negative. I will be running these tournaments. If you got a problem with it, you call whoever you got to call. So it goes on for a few months. I get a cease.
But you just say that you don't give a fuck.
My man. I will be running the tournament next week. If you would like to register, let me know. And fuck you.
We hope you like the content. Thanks for stopping by. Please leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe. Now click that little bell icon so you get notified. This was Gary Roberts and Travis Bagent live.
Damn it!
Do something else. Don't ever say them 2 names to me.